Welcome back to another episode of the Canon on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today I have to talk about The Boys. I have to. I don't remember if I talked about The Boys before in the other seasons, but I know for this season I was going to talk about the series after it wrapped up. But today's episode was so good, episode 6, Herogasm, that I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait anymore because this has to be the best writing in any of the superhero stuff, easily. I definitely would probably put it up there with some of the other shows because what they have accomplished in terms of balancing tone might be the elite level. It might be. It's hard for me to think of any shows that really hit it the way they do because, look, I was not into the idea of The Boys at first. First of all, I didn't know much about it, and it wasn't something, that I was familiar with. So I was like, whatever. But really, everybody's like, it's just so dirty, it's nasty. And I was just like, yeah, I don't care. Unfortunately, for some people, I don't like gore. I don't like meaningless sex gore. I don't like none of that. Like, I don't need that. I don't need you to replace good story with that stuff. And so when people were just talking about how gross and just dark it was going to be, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Not my thing. But I gave it a try and it hooked me in because that wasn't the only thing it had. And unfortunately, in my opinion, the marketing, that's all they use. A lot of people, when they talk about it, that's all they talk about. But it is like the second or third thing in this show. It is not the gross superhero show. It does do that. It does take it far, but that is not the priority of this show. The priority of this show is the characters in the world. And let me just say, if nobody else says this, there's genius in subtle nuance. One word, one thing you change can have a profound effect. I think we all know that. And it's true in writing. The decision, I don't know if it was in the comics, I don't know if it was the TV show or what, but the decision to say that Compound V not only gives you superpowers, it enhances who you are, completely strengthens the show. Because I think the show could be good. I think it could work if you just said, hey, this gives you superpowers like all the other heroes we know. We just decided to make everybody dicks. No, I think that subtle change allows you to examine humans. Because if superheroes get powers, if people get powers and they become more of who they already are inside, and they're celebrities and pretty much that's all they are, then what type of people would be doing contests to try to get in the 7? What type of people would be trying to get their name up, especially in this day and age with social media? It would attract these people. It's a commentary just like actors, athletes. Well, athletes kind of because they love the sport. But just anybody that wants to be a celebrity. It's a real meta commentary on humans. And all the decisions they make about the characters, especially the soups, are enhanced because of that one little tweak. So yes, if nobody else says it, that is one of the underrated, brilliant strokes of writing. Now, on top of that, Herogasm is an episode, and I might be a victim of my expectations, I know. But it's going to go down as to a testament of why this is an elite show. Because with their reputation, with the stuff they've done prior and in this season, with the comics Herogasm, they had every opportunity to derail the story, derail the characters, and focus on just gross out stuff. Now, I don't think it made sense for them to market it the way they did. There's a warning. First of all, the little Brief description is a tease. Oh, it's about Herogasm. The little warning before the episode, this is going to be the sickest thing. All the interviews, this is the sickest thing ever. And so I don't think they needed to do that, but they did. That just added to the expectations of people that read the comics or heard about it. This is going to be nuts. And with the boys, they can take it to a level of very uncomfortable. So in my mind, I was prepared for the worst. And I tell you what, I was not scared about the sexual. I was more scared about darkness. And I didn't read the comics. Let me also say that. I said before, but I didn't read Herogasm. I heard it gets messed up. I don't know how messed up. But my mind went to a dark place with Maeve being taken, with the Deep's wife, with just a number of things. I went to a very dark place, and with how Homelander is. And so I was shocked that they didn't do half of what I thought they would do. But even still, that even that part out of it, even if they went wild, if they shot it the way they did, the story was first, the characters were second, and all that was third, as it has always been. And you ask yourself, how can you do a hero orgy? How can you do some of the most X-rated stuff in a regular TV format that we've seen without sacrificing something? And from the beginning of it, with the whole little video and everything, from the beginning of the episode and all the way halfway throughout, I'm like, whoa, I really thought we were just going to pause this episode and say, here's the dirty episode. Much like people say, hey, we're going to pause and this is the musical episode. No, this was about the story. And so we continued all those storylines that we were worried about, that we were thinking about Mother's Milk and how he was going to react, that we were thinking about, again, how was Homelander going to react to Soldier Boy and all this stuff. And you get one of the best scenes. And yes, we've had self-monologues before, but it was greatly acted from Homelander talking to himself in the mirror as we see more and more of what his psyche's like. I forgot about Herogasm at that point. I had completely forgot that's what this episode was, because it was not Herogasm. It was still the boys. And so I'm thoroughly impressed. Now, most people will probably go, whatever, sex, dirt, yeah, I love it. I don't care for it. I tolerate it for the boys. And then the boys does what it continues to do and use it effectively. You get a sick scene, in my opinion, a sick scene with Frenchie and Kamiko. This man has a bike lock around his neck, naked, while she's going over all the scars and all the dirty things he did. Then tells him to choose between these two people he loves. And then Kamiko, with no powers, gets dirty and leaves fully red, Carrie style. It was a sick scene. But it was so impactful emotionally to the story, to the characters, and it works. And you don't think about all the other parts, at least I don't. And so that's what makes it so strong. You took a show that really does a lot of the stuff I do not care for. That's the stuff that I skip movies and TV for. But they use it and make me not care because the rest of it is so good. First, Soldier Boy, obviously we knew it was going to be a man out of time. And we knew he was going to be a little bit of a dick or whatever. But to go the veteran route, the way they play Soldier Boy, he plays it like a person who was a soldier and then got superpowers. Unlike Captain America, who got superpowers and then became a soldier. It's a different mindset. Like, this man's like, I fought for this country. Like, he loves talking about war stories. He loves all that. I fought for this country, D-Day, all this. And I don't know if it's the truth or not, if he got powers afterwards, but he plays it like someone who was a veteran first, then got powers. Because then he comes back and he's like, what happened? My team betrayed me. And they make these commentaries on real veteran status now when they come back home. And so it's so good. It's so good because they take the writing and they say, here's what the character is, here's what the story is, but also how can we go 2 and 3 levels deeper and add different dimensions. Here's a perfect example. Every other movie, I love Black Panther. I love Black Panther. Even that, Marvel, everything, DC. When they have characters that are not majority, they tend to want to make it about that. Even with Ms. Marvel, which I absolutely love right now. And yes, there's a part of representation where you want to show these things because it's not shown. But they tend to make it about that. That's the first priority. And then we get into the other parts. You have someone like A-Train, who you don't have to tell us he's a black man. But he's a dick. He's self-absorbed. He's the antagonist to the main character, Huey. And it's okay that he's all those things. He doesn't have to be great because he's black. He doesn't have to be right because he's black. But a good show does that. A great show, an elite show, then brings in the fact that he's black to his story. So we're not going to ignore it. We're not making it the priority, but we're not going to ignore it. We're going to rope that into his storyline at some point. And so this season we see them bringing in that angle, because we can't say, okay, in America, even if this was real, in America you can walk around and be a black man superhero and you're not a black man. No, the black part is going to come into it at some point. And so I love how they weaved it in, again, as a second and third dynamic, not his priority. And so it's just great writing. I was floored. And with all that being said, I don't think you're unsophisticated for liking action and special effects. I love it. I can't say it's the best, but for a lot of people, it seems to be the main event. And I can say for me, as good as the boys been, as good as the characters is and all that, a lot of times I'm like, we don't see a lot of powers. And we don't understand a lot of what people can do. This episode, we saw the powers. We saw the fight. We saw the action. And obviously it means something because the story and the weight is behind it. But it was so good. I mean, honestly, I forgot at this point I know Homelander kill people. But you don't really see him fight. And this, it made it more scary because you watch him fight and you're like, oh yeah, he's Superman. He's not just crazy guy, kind of like Superman. No, he is Superman. And so to see the fight, and it was good enough. I didn't need Huey to pop in, but it was fine. It's in line with his character. But to see Butcher and Soldier Boy go at, oh my God, it was so good. It was so good. And I'm glad they didn't do what the comics did. Some people told me what the comics do with Soldier Boy and Homelander. But so far, it seems like they did it the way that makes sense to the way they've been writing it, which is Homelander's threatened by someone taking his status, even though he thinks he's superior. And Soldier Boy is just as egomaniac as him, and he's like, I'm the top dog. And so they're clashing. I don't see them becoming friends, and I like that. So I just had to praise the boys. That is one of the best shows I've watched. It is so good. Yeah, I was gonna say something. It was kind of a negative. Oh, it's not a negative, but it's a funny observation. Butcher just happened to get the same powers as Homelander. I mean, from what we see, he can't fly. And I was really interested in how they were going to do that. And so they essentially made his durability the same as Homelander, because he was able to take the lasers, which kills everybody. He was able to take the punches. They did show him bleeding, but then later he wasn't bleeding in his mouth. I don't know how that worked. But so it seems like he might be 1% lower than Homelander, but he's close. And his lasers did the exact same thing to Homelander that Homelander's did to him. So his lasers are up there with him. Again, it does seem that he can't fly. I don't know if he got super hearing or nothing, but it seems like he's got pretty much the core powers of Homelander, which is just, you know, a little convenient. But it's fine. It's fine. All right, so that's it for me. Go down comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. And if you heard it, here's official canon.